is the last feature. As all of you know, we have a brand new public safety combined building here behind us. That is our police and fire headquarters. On the back side of the property, we have the spray and play park. Kids are actually able to use that now that we're in stage 4 of the COVID response. So we're excited about the Leon Corlew Park being open. And the last piece of the puzzle is here where I'm standing. And this is an idea that we had almost 6 years ago when I was talking with our city engineer, Eric Williams. He's our public works director now. And we had an idea of creating a water feature, some element that would really make this property pop and stand off in terms of when you came to the intersection of Schwarz and South Main Street. So when I was talking with Eric, the funny story that I have to share with you, he said, Mary, we're going to have about a quarter, maybe a half acre down there. And I know you're into landscaping and making things look nice. He said, would you like a water feature down there? And I said, sure, like a fountain, maybe squirting water out or something, landscaping like you'd see a landscape pond or something. And Eric comes back to me about 3 months later after meeting with the architect and engineer, and he figured out a way to put a detention basin. And the structure that you see in front there is the way they hold the water out during a non-peak storm, and allows us to have a little pond here. And of course, the beautiful brick wall, and the fountain's off today, but a lot of times you'll see the fountain going as well. So Eric came up with this as the water feature, which I thought was going to be, again, a little landscaping pond, but it's actually a beautiful element here at Governor's Plaza. So the next phase was the Plaza Design, and this was designed by landscaping architect Jeff Burns. He and his crew were out here, poured a beautiful plaza with stamped concrete, and we have a tribute to the 5 governors that had either lived or were born in the Edwardsville area and contributed to our history here. In terms of historic properties, there's 3 that really stand out to me. One would be the old Polk store where Rusty stood, and across the street, the Lincoln School. Those are 2 I would combine as one particular historic site. The second would be the Stevenson House, which is just over on Buchanan, and Colonel Benjamin Stevenson, and to have that home that he actually lived in restored and being used for tours and educational purposes is just a fantastic aspect to the city. And the third most historic piece of property, in my opinion, is this property, which accompanies about a 15-acre tract. It was originally owned by the Robinson family in the early 1820s. They were a very civic-minded family because this was one of the higher elevations of property in the city. They used it for civic gatherings, for community events. They owned property that stretched from here all the way to Woodland Middle School, the old high school, and around to RP Lumber. So if you know the history of the Robinson family, he eventually partnered with Ninian Edwards in development. So they helped develop some of this area of Edwardsville, some of our first outside of the Main Street corridor to be developed. So the Robinson family eventually sold this property to the county, and the county used this as a poor farm. Back in the 1860s and 1880s, poor farms were areas that you could go if you were ill, or if you couldn't take care of yourself, or if you were needing assistance, whether it be food assistance or living assistance. And so many residents, less fortunate residents, were cared for by the county here on this property. And to me, that's a wonderful story about how even 150 years ago, Madison County residents and Edwardsville residents took care of the less fortunate. There is a plaque over on the other side. Well, it's actually out by the road here. And if you want to read about the poor farm and the contributions, it eventually became a tuberculosis clinic, a hospital, and ultimately a shelter care. And most of us remember the old shelter care structure that was here before the city bought the property from the county. So the neat thing about this property is it's been in public hands since the mid-1800s. And with this building and with all the new features, we could probably expect it to be in public hands for another 100 years. So a very significant piece. The last thing I'll share with you before turning it over to SJ was these plaques, which I would encourage all of you to come by and read someday. These represent the 5 governors that came from Edwardsville. First, it was Governor Edward Coles, and then Governor Ninian Edwards. We had Governor John Reynolds, Thomas Ford, and ultimately Charles Deneen, who served 2 terms as governor. So these governors all had a contribution to our community, to our county, and to every resident in the state. We had history students from Edwardsville High School put together the histories and the contributions that these individuals made. Some of them believed in open government and making sure people had access and process in that government. Some of them worked on things up in Chicago, like the canal, to make sure that Chicago was able to develop as obviously one of our premier cities in the United States, but at the time, was smaller than Edwardsville. So if you look at some of these contributions, read the plaques. Again, they were put together by Edwardsville High School history, American history honor students, and just the regular class students. And they took a lot of pride in doing the research and putting the words on these plaques. If the program's still running and you want me to read some of it, I will. But at this point, I would prefer to hand it over to SJ, and he'll give a personal touch and a local history touch to this plaza. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Rotarians. I'd say good to see you, but I can't. So I hope it's good to see me. One of the really cool features of this Governor's Plaza is the dedication of 3 benches here on this site. Mayor Patton and the city decided to use this as an opportunity to honor and recognize individuals who have made significant contributions to our community. The first that I want to mention briefly is the most recently retired Fire Chief Rick Welly. Chief Welly retired this past Monday after 10 years of service in the city of Edwardsville, 39 years of service to fire departments, both here and in Collinsville. And because he was integral and a really important part of getting this building built, we wanted to honor him, Rick Welly, with one of our benches, and it's just right over here. And now what I'd like to do is take a couple of minutes and spend some time talking about the other 2 individuals who we are honoring today. Because both of those individuals are very important to me, and they're both Rotarians, so they're very important to you as well. They're both exceptional, community-minded individuals who really live out Rotary's motto of service above self. Our first honoree is Chuck McDonald. Chuck is originally from East Orange, New Jersey, and bounced around the East Coast, attended Central Connecticut State University, and went on to become their Director of Public Safety. One of the things that Chuck did when he was at Central Connecticut State was work with the Connecticut General Assembly to make all of the campus police stations official police stations. And in doing so, it allowed them to participate, among other things, in the Police Academy training program, which was really important. Chuck came to Edwardsville in 1979 to be SIUE's Chief of Police. And during his 20 years at SIUE, Chuck served as the president of the Southern Illinois Police Chiefs Association and the Illinois Chiefs of Police. He also served on the board for the Major Case Squad of Greater St. Louis and the Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. When Chuck retired in 1998, and he continues to be the longest serving police chief at SIUE, Chuck has a long range of community service. He was involved not only with Edwardsville's Mobile Intensive Care Trust Committee and served as its past chairman. For many years, he chaired the Madison County chapter of the American Red Cross and served on the boards for Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Center for Autism, and the Salvation Army. As most of you know, Chuck is a longtime member of the Edwardsville Rotary Club, has many, many years of perfect attendance. He's a past president and a Rotary Paul Harris Fellow. So if you would, please join me in giving a round of applause for Chuck McDonald. All right, our next honoree is actually with us here today and actually has a photo record of the building of this building and this site. It is, of course, Jack Butler. Jack, as you know, is a lifelong resident of Edwardsville. He's a graduate of Northwestern University and then entered the U.S. Air Force, where he served as an F-86 combat fighter pilot in Korea. When he returned from the war, Jack joined his father's auto dealership, Butler Chevrolet, here in Edwardsville in 1958, which he operated until 1985. He then became a real estate broker and sales and management professional with Joe Meyer and Associates. Jack's community service has been described as legendary. charter member of the Edwardsville JCs, served on the boards of the Chamber of Commerce, YMCA, the Senior Center, the School District's Citizens Committee, United Way, and most relevantly, the Edwardsville Police Pension Fund. Through his angel flights, Jack flew individuals in need of critical medical care to treatment centers around the country at no cost to them. Jack has maintained more than 60 years of perfect attendance in the Edwardsville Rotary Club. He also has served as a past president and a Paul Harris Fellow. Last year, Mayor Patton declared March 10th, 2019, Jack Butler Day in the city of Edwardsville. Jack is joined today by his wife, Wilma Jean. Congratulations, Jack. Let's give him a round of applause. Your bench is right over here. That's quite something.
You're quite something. Oh, he appreciates it very much, he said, in case you didn't hear him.
Are you smiling, Jack?
I can see it in his eyes. Aw, aw.
Aren't these things lovely?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is an honor that you bestowed on me a year and a half ago. The mayor named the club named Jack Butler. I still have those banners in my home. My wife won't let me take them down.
Right.
But it's quite a tribute, one that right to the core of your bones. So, one it's been a travel journey for me. I've witnessed a lot of things happen in that club over the years, and it's all been good. And it continues to be good. And thriving group, thriving organization, community-minded, and I hope we're proud to make this community proud. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. Okay. That was it, right?
Thank you, Rotarians. Thank you for sponsoring Jack's Bench. And Chuck, thank you and your family for sponsoring this one. Couldn't pick two finer individuals from Rotary to be on this plaza and be part of our community. So thank you very much for participating, and everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. All right, guys.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And Chuck, Jack had an opportunity to say a few words. If you'd like to unmute, and I want to give you an opportunity to say a few things too, if you'd like.
Just say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't realize she's out at SIUE for all those years. You've got to have a ton of stories to be able to tell
All the other pictures and
about all of those times.
He has to protect the innocent. He can't tell any stories.
We're going to have to work on that. But
Yeah.
Chuck, congratulations. Well deserved. And not only I'd like to thank Jack Butler and Chuck McDonald on behalf of Rotary, but I'd also like to thank those who helped pull this off today. Mayor Hal Patton, Walt Williams, Tina Jonassy, Gina Grebbing, and Masanda as well. There was a whole lot of planning and practice and trial and error to pull this off. Who knows, we might be having some more of these in the future, but thank you guys for doing that. Got a couple quick announcements for those of you that, let's see, I'm not sure that I see him on here, so I'm going to hold that part off to next week. Rebecca Ritchie, who's an Edwardsville resident, but belongs to the St. Louis Rotary Club, has invited Edwardsville Rotary members to participate in their Rotary golf tournament. And if Oh, I knew I had the flyer here somewhere. It is September 2nd. It's over at Forest Park. So if any of you are interested in playing in that, let me know and I can get you hooked up with her.
Mark, can I make an announcement?
You sure
Or
can.
not an announcement. And I can't see very well. So if you would look for me. We went over to Brian's last week to discuss the Pictarium, and just we're trying to get an invite sent out, but just so I have kind of an idea, could we have a show of hands of people who would be interested in attending a Saturday around 3 o'clock, the day, what is it, the 15th, I think,
August
of
15th.
August. And, you know, I know it's a bit of a drive, but we drove it and it's really not that far and it's beautiful. But I wanted to kind of maybe see a show of hands, since we're not in a meeting and I normally would do this, but a show of hands of people who'd be interested, just to have an idea if there's enough interest. So
3, 4.
I don't know if you can see, or if they got their little hands that they can put up, or actually physically raise their hands. Let me know what you see, Marky Mark.
I'm coming up with about 12, but I can't see anything on the screens where it's just names.
Okay. Well, maybe do a chat or something. How many people are there today?
Let's see on the chat. Yep.
Okay.
The numbers
All right.
going up.
Okay, sounds good. I just want to. I got to try and figure out this event right. So it's
Okay.
worth it. It's worth it for me to figure this out. Then. All right. I'll let you go on with your meeting, and I'm going to head back to work.
Okay. Thanks, Tina.
Thanks. Bye.
And